Nobody knew there'd be a pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion. Nobody's ever seen anything like this before.
Nobody knew? Or did Trump just not listen? Today I'm going to show you how Trump was warned over and over again. 6 years ago, Barack Obama said this.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly.
Don't like Barack Obama? Well, that's okay, because today I'm going to show you how in 2005, 15 years ago, President Bush warned us about pandemics and said this.
Outbreaks can happen simultaneously in hundreds or even thousands of locations at the same time.
In 2014, Barack Obama was advocating to Congress for pandemic preparedness because when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Like in late 2019, the Trump administration ended a pandemic early warning program to detect the coronavirus.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment. And we're further along to be able to catch it.
Trump wasted weeks and valuable time while human beings were dying, trying to politicize the coronavirus epidemic and calling it a Democratic hoax.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. This is their new hoax.
President Barack Obama, on the other hand, urged Congress to cross party lines and realize that saving American lives is not a partisan issue.
I cannot think of a better example of an area where we should all agree than passing this emergency funding to fight Ebola and to set up some of the public health infrastructure that we need to deal with potential outbreaks in the future. How do you argue with that? That is not a partisan issue. That is a basic common sense issue that all Americans can agree on. For the most part, people have recognized this is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It's about the safety and security of the American people. So let's get it done. This can't get caught up in normal politics. We need to protect the American people, and we need to show the world how America leads.
Say what you want about Bush, but according to my research, pandemics and being prepared for one is actually something that kept him up at night. And he spoke about this in 2005 and continued with the groundwork to make sure that another pandemic never reached American soil.
Today I've come to talk about our nation's efforts to address this vital issue to the health and the safety of all Americans. I'm here to discuss our strategy to prevent and protect the American people from a possible outbreak.
President George W. Bush was one of few presidents who stressed the importance of planning for a global pandemic and laid the foundation for the present-day federal response.
The President's made perfectly clear that our number one priority is, in the event of a pandemic, is to save lives. The President has a plan to do just that.
First, we must detect outbreaks that occur anywhere in the world. Second, we must protect the American people by stockpiling vaccines and antiviral drugs and improve our ability to rapidly produce new vaccines against a pandemic strain.
We need to have a surveillance plan that allows us to identify when an incident has occurred in the world. The sooner we know, the more quickly and more adequately we can respond.
We thought it would be irresponsible not to take on the pandemic planning effort to make sure that whenever it is, under whatever president's watch, that as a nation we're better prepared because it's the right thing to do. It can't be avoided.
The pandemic is unlike other natural disasters. Outbreaks can happen simultaneously in hundreds or even thousands of locations at the same time. And unlike storms or floods, which strike in an instant and then recede, a pandemic can continue spreading destruction in repeated waves that can last for a year or more. And one day, many lives could be needlessly lost because we failed to act today.
You have said nobody could have seen this pandemic coming. Who dropped the ball?
Well, I always knew that pandemics are one of the worst things could happen.
If you were preparing for a pandemic, why is it we don't have enough masks, medical equipment in this?
The previous administration, the shelves were empty. The shelves were empty. So what you should do is speak to the people from the previous administration, Jim. All right.
So, Trump tried to blame Obama for Trump's failure in handling the corona pandemic. And I don't know if you heard Jim Acosta, but he said, well, you've been in office for almost 4 years.
Were empty. And you know what else? The military.
The president blamed the Obama administration and said he was left with an empty shelf. I repeated back to the president, he has had 3 or 4 years to stock the shelves, to prepare this country, to get the federal government ready for a threat just like this. He has said in the past, you couldn't have seen this coming. This was an unforeseen problem, this coronavirus. But obviously there were top officials like his own HHS secretary who were warning about the potential for a very dangerous pandemic like the one we're dealing with right now. Wolf.
Yeah, he's been in office now for more than 3 years. And if there was a problem when he took office, he had 3+ years to deal with that problem based on the recommendations of a lot of experts who were deeply concerned about a potential pandemic coming here to the United States.
The buck is supposed to stop here, Wolf, as you know.
Yeah, of course.
Well.
And I'm going to leave you right here with this. In 2013, Donald Trump tweeted to the then President Barack Obama, leadership. Whatever happens, you're responsible. If it doesn't happen, you're responsible.
Dr. Fauci said earlier this week that the lag in testing was, in fact, a failing. Do you take responsibility for that?
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all.
You said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House Pandemic Office. It's lost valuable time because that office wasn't disbanded. What do you make of that?
Well, I just think it's a nasty question. And when you say me, I didn't do it. You say we did that. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know
We're
about
spending,
about
I
the
don't
reorganization
know.
that happened at the National Security
It's the administration.
Council.
Perhaps they do that. You know, people let people go. You used to be with a different newspaper than you are now. You know, things like that happen.
But this was an
Please go ahead. We're doing a great job.
Leadership. So who do you believe? Do you believe the Obama administration left the coffers dried and empty, so that after 4 years in office, Trump still couldn't fill them up? Or do you think Bush, 15 years ago, dropped the ball, and even though he created the federal response that we have now to pandemics, just wasn't up to par?
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all.
Or do you think Trump is lying and scapegoating because the way he bungled this pandemic response cost thousands of Americans their lives? I want to hear your thoughts below. So the questions now are, number one, if Trump knew that a pandemic was possible and he was so pandemic-minded, why did he spend so many weeks denying that a pandemic was even possible, going around on the news, giving false hope and lying, saying that this was under control, when it most definitely was not and is not under control? Two, first of all, I highly doubt that the shelves were empty. But if they were, let's jump into that. How much longer after Obama left office was Trump expecting for Obama to keep the shelves full? We're talking about 4 years into this man's presidency. Who was manning the shelves? Who was checking inventory? I think this is just another scapegoatism, but I want to hear from you. 3, we all know that Trump cut funding. You know, he was on this rampage of cutting anything that Obama had created. And he happened to cut funding to the CDC as well as remove a key position on the front lines in China. But we'll get into that in the next video. 4, why did Trump know all of the right things to do and say before he got into the office? And then now he's passing the buck. He doesn't know, shoulders up in the air, hands behind him. He's now all of a sudden ignorant of what it takes to be a good leader. And 5, is this the great America that Trump was trying to make us into? We are the laughing stock of the world. There is no country under or overdeveloped that is suffering to the point that Americans are suffering. In the next video, we're going to dive deep into how we got here. For now, I want your comments below. Do you believe that the previous administrations, which were openly pandemic conscious, were the ones who dropped the ball? Or do you think it's Trump who is responsible for the pandemonium we are now in? Thank you for watching. Make sure you thumbs up the video. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell notifications to be notified of new videos. Leave a comment below and come over to TonyaTKO.com to subscribe to my personal mailing list, send me a message, or find out more about matchmaking. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.